and welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media Studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas, and we are joined by, all the way from Toronto, Canada, Atenna Hercules. Hey!
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Tina, it took us a few minutes to get going, didn't it? Let's get you on.
I know. Technology.
Right. Okay. Now, one of the reasons I want to get you on is because on Global Muscle we have all the divisions, all the categories, and we obviously get the big A-lister names, but I also like to get the new talent. And I was trying to remember where I think I first saw you. I think it might have been on your coach Margie Marvelous, the female body.
Last year, yeah.
I think that's where I first saw you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what category, and who is Atenna Hercules?
Well, like you mentioned, my name is Atenna Hercules. Mm-hmm. I'm actually from Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
And I've been living in Canada for a few years now, but for the major part of my life. Mm-hmm. And, I went to school and my major was music, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I actually have a degree in music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. So, I did that for a while and then, just looking for new adventures and challenges in life. And I decided to compete. And that was 5 years ago. So I started competing in 2015. And here I am finally getting my pro card in 2019. Thanks to the help of Margie and Tennille at Chula Fitness. Meeting those two, that was literally the point of my life that it was like a transitional phase. Yeah. And I met them at the right time. And both of them worked together and helped me get my pro card in Pittsburgh last year.
So in 2015, did you start in figure?
I did, yeah.
Oh,
so
wow,
I started at the regional level. So in Canada, we have different levels than in the States, but now it's the same. But first you have to compete at the regional level, and then you have to win overall, and then you get to compete at the provincial level, and then you have to place first in your class to compete at the national level. And at the national level, that's where you get your pro card if you win, if you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, because were you successful straight? Because I know we had who was the Canadian we had on recently? We had a Canadian guy, and he told us that the system of, I'm trying to think who it was now, a Canadian bodybuilder. Nope, it's completely escaped me. And he was saying, like, obviously before the split happened with the IFBB and the Pro League, there was it was tricky to get your pro card, and now obviously there's a lot more opportunities, and the talent is allowed to come through now. So exactly. so were you successful straight away, or did it? Tell us.
So my first show, I got an online coach, and I took myself to the gym religiously for 4 months. I did it, and I was surprised to win the overall. Wow. So that was my first show, and I actually won. So it was really shocking, right?
Okay.
And then that qualified me for the provincial level. And that's where all the provinces, like everyone in Ontario, they come together and they compete. So every single province, they had their own, essentially like their own league. Right? So it wasn't like in the States, like anyone can compete anywhere, but in Canada, like you can only compete in Ontario if you lived in Ontario.
Right.
And at the nationals, that's where they ask, where everyone from all the different provinces can compete at that competition. So when I did my second show, I actually placed first in my class again, which was really shocking. I wasn't expecting.
Have you ever been second in a show or lower?
Oh no, I have.
Oh, okay.
It started off really well. I was, ripping ahead with wins, and then, third show I get to the nationals, and it was an opportunity for me to see what was out there. Yeah. Because before that point, it was only people in Ontario I was competing against, right? So you're talking about all of Canada, and you're at the nationals, and then you're like, okay, so there's a higher quality of competitors, competitors who've been competing for years before me. I've only been competing for less than a year, and here I am at the nationals.
That's amazing.
Right? Yeah, right? Competing with people who've been there for like 10 years, trying to get their pro card, right? So I did not place.
Okay, you had a bit of a sort of okay.
Yeah, right. At least, like I said, it was a really great eye-opener, a really great experience to see the quality of competition, right? I was new. and I needed to be at a place where I can actually see where I needed to go to get to the next level, right? So then after that, I took my loss, went home, and then recalibrated. And then, the following year, I competed at the the Toronto Pro Qualifier, and then I placed second in my class. And then I went again to the Canadian Nationals, and I placed second again in my class. Right. And that was 2018. Then 2019 is where I actually met Tennille and Margie.
Okay.
I went to the Toronto Pro Qualifiers again.
Yeah.
And I did not place well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
Right. And I actually, in all honesty, I actually placed last.
Wow. In 2019.
Yes, in 2019, I did the Toronto Pro Qualifier, and I actually came in last.
Sorry, Atenna, was that because your condition wasn't good, or because the competition was so tough? Because you're really, I've looked at your physique, and you are of a very high standard. I mean, so I can't imagine that you were coming last in any competition.
Well, it was because of my conditioning for sure.
Okay.
In 2019, I actually I had a lot of challenges in my life, like personal stuff. And, I still wanted to compete while going through all those challenges and transitions. And my head was not there 100%.
Yeah.
Right. But I still wanted to do it because I committed to it. And in this sport, you need to keep going. Right. That's my opinion. You got to keep going. The only way to get better is to keep going.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually competed. I competed once, and I think one of the best conditions I ever got was when I had the most amount of stress going on in my life. So you actually commit to it, and sometimes it actually helps you focus more because it gives you something to really focus your energies into. Yeah.
Well, last year, one of the challenges that I was facing was that I actually lost my job.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
It was about 3 months before my competition. Right. So I'm stressed, trying to think about, my full-time job and compete at the same time. And it just didn't go well for that June show. But luckily and thankfully, Margie stepped in. Right?
So where did Margie really, really help you the most? Was it in terms of your training or your mindset or your diet, or tell us?
It was the diet, and it was definitely the training, right? I spent, after the Toronto show in June of 2019, she took over a week after.
Okay.
She became my coach.
Fantastic.
Right. So a week after that, I started training with her, and, like I said, diet, training, my training was completely different with Margie. Right.
In what way? How did she improve it?
We did a lot of plyometric work, which is something that I had never done getting ready for any of my shows.
Okay.
Right. We're always, for me, I was always focused on just lifting really heavy, right? Doing as many reps as possible. But with her, it was more of, okay, we're going to focus on conditioning, and there are certain exercises that you need to do in order to condition your body for the next level, right? And that's what we did in 12 weeks.
Kaleem, can you Google plyometrics, please?
I know.
Yeah, I think he's already actually. You can see my thought processes. So what? A lot
of jumping, and for cardio.
Really?
It's not just about going on the treadmill and running. She had the resistance bands.
Wow.
Right. A lot of that, a lot of the military walk, the duck walk, a lot of things where you're really putting a lot of stress on your legs.
So that really improved your physique.
100%.
I've never heard this before.
But that's what I did with her, right?
Okay.
That is what I did with her.
Okay.
So I was really surprised and shocked that, I had a really great, my body, the quality was really great after 12 weeks of really focusing on those types of exercises.
So hang on a minute. You went from 12 weeks, you went from being last in a show to, so how much, from when you placed last in that show, the pro qualifier, when did you then get first in your pro qualifier and get your pro card? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Oh, it was literally 12 weeks after.
Wow, 12 last zero to hero in 12 weeks with Margie Marvelous.
Yeah. So June 2019, right? I placed last, and then Margie took over, and then August 28th, I got my pro card. I know.
That's I don't think I've ever actually, I'm struggling to think if I've ever actually heard of of such a I mean, that full credit to Margie, that for really kind of looking at your physique and having the knowledge to be able to know how to improve it. That's really astonishing. That's really that's quite something.
And don't forget, like, a lot of it was like online stuff, right? Because she doesn't live here, right? So she lives in the States.
Of course.
And, you know, right. So I wasn't like training with her very often. So whenever she came to Toronto, you know, we would do a workout, you know, she'll look at my form, she'll look at my body, you know, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. Once I saw the pictures, I think on Margie, and then I followed you, and I was thinking, because obviously I saw you when you got your pro card, and the other girls were good, but you kind of just really stood out. You stood out in the same way that kind of like the Sydney Gillen, the Natoya Watts. You know, you've got that. Like when I looked at your structure, and I thought, and it was actually a rear shot, and I actually put it next to a picture of Sydney Gillen. And I said to myself, like, you literally look like a 2-3 years behind version of Sydney. You know, because there's Latoya, there's Sydney, and there was obviously Candice when she was competing. Yeah. And for me, those girls, they were just they were always going to be, because they got that structure, and you've got that too, Atenna.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. But no, like, honestly, like, when I first started competing, the person who I really looked up to, and this is about 10 years now, was Sydney. Right,
awesome.
She's awesome. Saw her on Facebook. This is 10 years ago.
Wow.
Before I even knew what figure was. Yeah. Right, and she was young, but she looked beautiful. She looked amazing, and I was like, I want to look like her. Right.
Well, you're on your way. You're on your way. No, you are, seriously. No, I mean, obviously, when people see this, they're going to go and check out your Instagram. We'll bring up your Instagram name, so they're going to see. Because I mean, you know, obviously I remember when I first interviewed William Bonac, and people were saying, why are you interviewing him? And I'm like, no, you can just see it's especially in figure where you don't pose. It is about structure, and the girls with the better structures, and they just stand out for so many reasons. Yeah.
I wanted to also add, you know, when I first saw Sydney, and like I said, 10 years ago, it took me another 5 years to actually start competing. I actually bought my first figure suit 3 years before my first show.
Did you?
Like,
why?
3 years.
Wow.
Right? Because it just really took a while for me to like work out the confidence to be able to see myself on stage being judged for my body. Right? Like, my background isn't like fitness, you know, like I'm not. Right, I didn't run track and field. No, I literally saw someone on Facebook and was like, she looks beautiful. Wow. I wouldn't look like that.
I was going to ask you, because when you said that you were kind of so good, kind of almost straight away, seemingly, I thought, because when I interview a lot of the really gifted athletes who are kind of good straight away, like people like yourself, they always say, I was a track and field, or they've got some sort of athletic back. So you had none, no physical, any sort of physical pursuit, or?
No. All I did was grade 9 track and field, which everyone did. Right?
Yeah.
And after that, I did nothing athletic, nothing at all. Until one day I was like, you know what? I do enjoy working out. I enjoy being fit, but it was to a very low degree, right? You know, regular stuff, cardio, you know, light weights, the same stuff a lot of women do. And then eventually I was like, you know, I want to take it to the next level. And then, you know, you have to go through a process. For me, it was going through a process of seeing myself, you know, as a regular woman, lifting weights, going to the gym, and a woman who has muscle and who's going to be seen as a muscular woman. What does that mean for me? Right? So I had to go through that process of accepting that is what I wanted to be and what I wanted to look like.
Right. Do you think you'll always stay in figure?
For now, yes. You know what? I really love women's physique. I love looking at them, but I don't know if I have it in me to compete as a women's physique competitor. But for now, I'm sticking with figure because it's my look. I really love that feminine look with muscle, and I love the heels as well. Right? I love presenting myself in that way.
Yeah, no, because I remember when Natalia Coelho, when she was doing really well in figure. And then I remember that she won a figure show. And I remember what I was saying on the forum, and I said, she needs to switch to physique. And they were saying, well, if she's doing well in figure, why would she switch? And I said, her quads are too big. I said, and then I found out, somehow I found out that she was having to really hold back on the muscularity. So I'm just wondering how, sometimes when you see these girls who kind of, they get, you can see like a more muscular progression every single show. It is kind of like a natural progression for them to switch to something like physique or even female bodybuilding, because a lot of female bodybuilders started off as figure.
Oh, for sure. But, I'm open to the possibilities, right? Like I didn't start competing to be a pro. I really just wanted to challenge myself, right? Yeah. I wanted to see what it would feel and look like, right? So whatever options I have in the future, for sure, I'll see where it goes, right? Okay. But I'm still getting ready for my pro debut. I'm trying to figure out when that's going to happen, right?
That's my next question.
Right? Like the gyms are still closed.
Of course, yeah. So obviously in Toronto, we were speaking on Instagram. So have you been able to train? Have you been able to... Because I know you posted a picture the other day and you've not lost any muscle. I mean, I'm just thinking either you're just genetically gifted and you just don't lose muscle even if you don't train, or have you been able to do something? Or
well, here and there I'm able to get into a gym ever so often.
through the back window, through the back window at night.
There are ways, right, here and there, but nothing consistent, nothing that will give me the ability to like get ready for an actual show in the next upcoming months, right?
Yeah, because I mean, so it's June now. So what does Margie? Exactly. Have you spoke to? Has Margie sort of relayed to you how she thinks you feel you could do over the course of the next few years? Have you spoke about that?
Well, we haven't had that conversation because in January I was getting ready for my pro debut, right? So January, February, things are going well, and then March hit.
Which show? Which show were you prepping for?
I was gonna do the Linda Murray.
Okay.
It was April, right? And then, so that was the goal. And then when the quarantine happened, I just took a step back and I stopped thinking about bodybuilding. I stopped thinking about getting ready for a show because, I mean, in a time like that, what's the purpose of it, right? If we're in lockdown, I just use that time to focus on other areas. So I went back to music. I went back to some writing, I went back to my actual job, my real full-time job, really focusing on that, right? Giving all my energy to that. And then when the quarantine is over, then I'm back to bodybuilding.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because if you can't train, it's pointless even trying to...
Exactly, right? I'm not going to frustrate myself with all this stuff. It's right, just take it one day at a time and focus on the things that I can actually focus on. Yeah.
Now, one thing, because I looked on your Instagram when I was, I followed you, and I loved the musical side. I thought it really interested me. Tell us about that, because you've got some interesting dimensions to you, Atenna. Tell us.
I do.
She's not a meathead, this one.
Yeah. I went to school for music, and like I said, I had my degree. I have a degree in music. And my intention when I went to university was to be a music professor.
A music professor?
Yes, that was my goal.
Okay.
Yes, right? But, I got there and I did a lot of performing. So I actually I am a trained singer, but I also play piano. But when I got there,
she's really Kaleem. She's really good. Honestly, go to her Instagram, guys, and check out when she plays. Is it classical piano? Is it classical piano you play? Isn't it the classical stuff?
Well, so I went to the Royal Conservatory of Music, which is like piano, right? Yeah, I stopped at grade 7, but that was over 10 years ago, right? Again, my goal was to be certified as a piano teacher. But, things just stopped. Things, my life took on I went in another direction. But, I mean, I enjoyed performing. I did a few, theater stuff in the city. Even I did a show in Barbados, even.
Wow.
And, in the past few years, I've been doing a few things with the Canadian Opera Company. I'm not an opera singer.
That's the thing that really struck. That's the thing I thought was really, really cool. I thought, I love that. I loved it. Though. Sorry?
No, I'm not an opera singer. It was strictly, I'm basically an extra for opera. So, ever so often they need actors.
Okay.
And they would just call me, like they have really amazing costumes.
Atenna, I was going to say the costumes, because it was like a Renaissance like type sort of. It was
exactly.
What era was that? It was amazing. I loved it. I thought it was really.
That one was 2 years ago. I did one last year, but I didn't post any pictures.
Okay.
The costumes were not as glamorous, so I was like, it's okay. But, yeah.
Not as glamorous.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, like we literally get to wear these international costumes. Like the costumes travel with the shows, right? So they need people that fit into the costumes.
Yeah.
So whenever they need someone my size, they just call me and see if I'm available.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really interesting. So do you, let's go back to the bodybuilding and the sport in general. Do you follow the sport, or are you someone that just kind of participates and does a show and then does their own thing with music and everything else? Or do you actually follow the sport?
I try to maintain a good balance in my life, because, fitness is one part. It's a major part, but it is one part. I don't want to, right? I don't want my whole life to be about fitness. It's just too much.
Very wise.
Right. So I follow figure, like whatever's happening in figure. I want to know what's going on. Outside of that, no, I really don't. I don't pay attention to anything that the men do. I have no idea what's going on. Like bikini, I have no clue. Physique for sure.
Hang on a minute. You're saying you don't watch my show?
Well, honestly, because
because
it's not a great show with quality programming.
I'm hurt now. I'm hurt, Atenna. I'm very hurt.
But no, it's just like like I have a job I work at a university, right?
Very poor excuse.
Right. Right. So it's just I need to put my energy there as well. I'm doing music, so I need to put my energy there as well, right? So it's just whatever I can in the context and space that I have the time to do it. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll have to accept that answer then. So, what do you do for a living? And can I ask what you do for a living?
Sorry, say it again.
Can I ask what you do for a living?
Oh, yeah. So I work at a university in downtown Toronto. And the department I work in, it's a co-op and internship. So I work for the Faculty of Engineering.
Okay.
So all we do is we're looking for co-op positions for our 3rd and 4th year students, right? So that's my job, right? Wow. That's my day job when I'm not in the gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've been to Toronto. I went backpacking around on the east coast of America when I was 15. I just turned 15 years old, and me and my training partner, he was 21. We decided to get an East Coast train pass, and we went up the east coast of America. And my favorite place was Toronto, because just let me get this straight. Dundas Street, is that the longest street in the world?
I think so. I vaguely recall hearing something like that.
It's several miles. It's a street that's several miles long, and I tried to. Yeah. I think I walked about a third of it and got tired.
Yeah, I think so. It breaks off into different sections and in different parts of like the GT or something like that. I vaguely remember something like that. Yeah.
Do you like living in Toronto?
I enjoy it. Where I am, it's really nice. I live by the water. Like I'm a water person, so it was really important for me to find a space where I can just be by the water. Toronto, it's quiet. It's quiet. Like where I live.
Perfect.
It's downtown. Like people come here to work during the weekday. On the weekends, it's not as busy.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. It's more busy than the suburbs.
Okay, well, I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait to go back. I thought you were going to tell me you're doing something with cats, because we've had a few conversations on DMs about cats, so I thought maybe there was some sort of animal-related job or something like that, but never mind.
I love cats.
I do. I love cats too as well. So, okay, now we did discuss you might be at the Olympia this year. Do you want to tell us why and how?
Well, my goal for this year to be at the Olympia is to actually support. I'm hoping that Chula Fitness, so Tennille, hopefully she has a booth at the expo this year, and that's my goal. I really want to go and support her. I'm not qualified to compete at the Olympia, so that won't be happening this year.
Still time.
But I know.
Yeah, it could happen. It could happen.
We'll see what the future holds, right? But my goal is I really want to go and support her. Last year I was there, and she had a booth. It was really a lot of fun.
Are you at the Olympia last year?
I was, yes. You had a booth last year.
Okay, that's good. That's cool. Is this a clothing? Sorry, is this a clothing sponsor?
So she has it's clothing and posing.
Okay.
So she's my posing coach, and she has clothing. A lot of men's physique shorts, like board shorts, right? She's really popular for that, as well as the classic physique trousers, I guess we call them, or underwear. So yeah, she's really popular for that. And I mean, she has a line of like hoodies and crop tops, that kind of stuff. It's really great stuff.
Well, if she's a posing coach, she's very good, because I said this to you on DM the other day. I said, you, Sydney Gillen and Jessica Reyes Padilla have got the best walking figure, because the thing of a figure, you don't get to pose, and it's all a big a lot of people need to realize this, that a lot of it is to do with the first impression, and and the walk is in figure is so important, because it's as important as how you hit your poses. It's about your stage presence. So she's doing a good job with you, because your walk is absolutely fantastic. It's really good.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, she's been working with me for a while, and honestly, I'm so grateful, to have someone who saw my potential. She saw me before. She saw me in 2018, and she reached out to me, right? And then that's when we started talking. She wasn't my posing coach then, but eventually, I started working with her, and she's really helped to polish my walk and my look. So we'll see what the future holds. Yeah.
Fantastic. One final question. Are you excited for the new venue at the Olympia this year, if you're going?
Say it again.
Are you excited for the new venue for the Olympia this year?
I saw the announcement about the venue, but I don't know where it is, right? Like, I'm not from the States, so...
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's on the Strip, isn't it? It's Planet Hollywood. It's a real step up from the last venue.
Okay, perfect. Well, I mean, if it's a step up, then I'm excited. Maybe that new venue will be able to have maybe more people attending. Maybe it'll be more accessible. I'm not sure. But I'm excited to be there to support, Tennille and her business, and, to meet new competitors and just, get a really good, be engaged in the community. Yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Also, is Atenna Hercules your real name?
It is.
Oh, such a cool name.
It is. It's not made up.
Because I was speaking to someone the other day, and she said, "You do know that's not my real name." I went, "Oh, what's your real name?" And she said, "Oh, you'll hate it." And I was like, "Actually, it was quite a nice name, but your name, Atenna." I was like, "That's got to be made up for Instagram."
Okay, let me tell you about the name.
Tell me.
I said to you earlier, I'm from Trinidad Tobago, right? So my Hercules is my great grandfather's last name, right? So that's my mother's maiden name. So when I was born, I mean, that's because of, the dynamic of her relationship at that point. Yeah. It was best for her to give me her maiden name. Okay. And the rest is history, right? Like she married, and, she changed her name, right, to reflect, her marriage status. But I just kept mine as Hercules. It's been Hercules since the day I was born.
If that's not a Miss Olympia name, that's gonna that everyone, a figure Olympia winning name that people will remember. I mean, I don't know what is. So
that's my name.
well, Atenna, I wanted to get you on because, like I said, I like to give. I think you've got I really do see that you've got huge potential, and I really wanted to shine a bit of a light on you and kind of. I mean, people won't forget your name, that's for sure. That's for certain. So I hope to see you at the Olympia, either on stage or at the new Olympia. It's called the Olympia Festival now. They've changed the name. It was announced.
Okay, at the festival, yeah.
So I hope to see you at the festival, and I'm gonna keep a very close eye on your career over the next few years, because I think you're gonna be really, really great.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for giving me this platform.
No problem. And also, we're gonna have to try and get some photos, because we're probably not gonna have any on the database because you've not competed as a pro yet. So if you can sort those out, so we can do our graphics, that would be wonderful. But yes, really excited for the future for you, Atenna.
Okay, thank you. Me as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on, and I'll see you very soon.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Atenna. And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And finally, we are joined by 2018 Mr. Olympia, Shawn Rhoden! Yay! We got ya!
Yes, sir.
Shawn.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's been, I guess, in the works for a long time. slow process. But I am very thankful to be finally having the opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah, you're very played very hard to get, Shawn.
Not at all. I know you're a busy man, and my schedule permitted. I know we've had several conversations, and
Yeah.
I enjoy watching all your other guests. And as I said, I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, Shawn. It's a real pleasure, mate. You're somebody I've really wanted to interview for a while now, so it's really good to connect. So, right, okay, well, mate, I know it's a very general question, but how are you doing? How are you and Laura? How's life?
I am great. We're doing fantastic. Can't complain. I mean, there's a lot been going on with the virus and, the protests and rioting and whatnot. But, for the most part, we moved out of LA back in December.
Okay.
So we kind of missed the blunt of everything that was going on. So
yeah,
we moved about to be about 30 minutes away from my daughter. So, for us, we've just been doing us. We've just been, staying low key and, just enjoying the time that we have with no show coming up. So, just give us a little bit of time to just enjoy us and the ups and downs of, dieting in competition.
Yeah. So are you still training at Gold? So you lived in LA before, so you live further out, but do you drive to Gold's gym to go train?
Well, let's see. Back in December, we made a conscientious decision that I wanted to be closer to my daughter. She's in Santa Barbara, so we ended up moving to a small town called Oxnard, which is about a little bit over an hour outside of LA.
Okay.
And I've been back to Gold's just a few times to train, but I happened to move in a perfect area where a friend of mine who was also a classic physique bodybuilder owns a gym called BSF Fitness.
Okay, guys, sorry, we just switched connection there from laptop to phone. So Shawn's saying you've moved. So what do you miss LA or?
I moved to LA back in 2013, basically just to train with Charles Glass.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I've lived there where, between there and Santa Barbara. Mm-hmm. I don't really miss LA. As I know that might sound weird. It's sometimes it's too fast, fast paced for me at times, and just too much traffic. And where we're living at right now, man, I could get in my car in 5 minutes and anywhere. We're in LA. I was living 7 minutes from Gold's Gym, and some days it would take me 30 minutes.
Just to get to the gym?
Just to get to the gym.
No way.
And don't talk about going to the grocery store. Trying to get to the grocery store is a whole nother thing. It's, 45 minutes, an hour some days. So I could walk to the grocery store from where I'm at right now.
Nice. You live in a much...
I don't walk, so, it's a good thing for me. But LA has its, pros and its cons. And, at times I think I will miss Gold's Gym a little bit, but you make do with what you have. And I think the atmosphere now that I have, it's going to be great, for me to train and refocus.
Yeah. Are you one of these bodybuilders that doesn't really need, as long as you've got a gym with equipment? I mean, I know Brandon's the same. He said as long as he's kind of got his environment and he's got everything he needs, it's actually more of a benefit being somewhere a little bit more quieter and kind of a little more slow paced. And I can imagine being on prep and being like trying to get to the gym or to do cardio or something like that, and you have to, you get stuck in traffic. I mean, I get stuck in traffic when I was on prep for a show, and I get very, very stressed out, and it really kind of it knocks you off your routine, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to, because before I moved to LA, I trained by myself, and the gym was 5 minutes from my house, and and I trained there to turn pro, and in 2012 when I went from 11 to 3rd, and I trained by myself, and just a regular gym.
Yeah.
I think the biggest loss for me would, at times I think would be, because I love to pick the brains of, the people that know how. As much as I've trained with some of the greatest minds, I still like to, be able to pick, a few brains here and there, and sometimes we're doing certain exercise, but that, hey, maybe if I switch it up a little bit, and I think, having guidance of, Charles Glass over the years, or even, Chris Lewis, enable you to push yourself a little bit more. But I think for me right now, I needed a change in pace, and I needed a different environment to kind of refocus. The only loss for me would be my training partner, Stan.
Yeah.
And he's moving also. He's moving to Chicago. So,
okay.
But I'm focused, and we've been training here and there, a couple of times, but for the most part, I've just been going in the gym and, just focusing, training, making improvement. So
you've been training, have you been, let me get this straight. Are you training by yourself now, or who are you training with?
Right now, the owner of the gym, Josh Cohen, he's a Classic Physique Pro.
Okay.
I'm beyond thankful because, this entire time when, most gyms were locked down and you couldn't do anything, he was like, bro, like, listen, if you want to get a lift in, a couple of days, just let me know. So,
yeah.
I was fortunate to have, 3 to 4 days each week, during quarantine to actually go in.
Perfect.
And train where it was just, us in the gym and nobody else.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of, we all know there were pros that were training, whether they want to voice it or say it out loud. We all have somewhere that we're training, but I think, to be able to go and do that when, gyms were closed, it kind of puts you, one step ahead of, most people. I like to think that way.
Do you know what, Shawn? I think that's right, because I think generally in life with things like the lockdown, some people have really struggled, but others have really kind of, the lack of the lesser distraction. I think it's really helped some people. So is that how you feel it's helped you? Do you think it's actually been, given that you're able to train, really that's kind of all you really need, isn't it, really?
Yes, the gym is not just a place, for bodybuilders to go in and train. I think for the most part, for most of us, it's like therapy, it's very therapeutic. You go in and it's, it's just you, just nothing else. It's just you. And whether it's stress, whatever is going on in that moment, you have that atmosphere that you're used to and accustomed to, that you're able to just leave everything outside the door and just, just go into, solitude and say, hey, I'm going to train today. And I had the luxury of doing that, when, there's quarantine and it's just peace and quietness, no music, as much as we love having, fans in the gym and, patients in the gym, I think those, 3 months for me just gave me a chance to almost if you're in a retreat, trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
And, I'm very thankful for that, brought a lot of peace to me. And, not just that, having, Laura with me, and, it's just been a great atmosphere for us just to get away from.
Yeah.
When you're at Gold's Gym, at any given time, someone could come up to you in the middle of your workout and, ask for a picture, or, getting stopped in traffic for, 30, 40 minutes just to get to the gym or get back from the gym. And, for us, it was 5 minutes, one exit, and, back home.
I think as Mr. Olympia, I can't imagine, in some ways, I can't think there'd be a worse place to train than something like Gold's, because you've got, like you said, there's, even though you've got people training with you, there's constantly the attention's on you. So it must feel like you're being watched all the time. So I can imagine why this new environment where it's, less distraction, I can imagine you really have a chance to really kind of thrive and focus and really kind of just, like you said, it's like therapy. It's something that allows you to kind of really do what you want to do without all the kind of noise going on around you, So I think by the sounds of it, you've made the right decision by moving and kind of going to a more sort of distraction-free environment.
Yeah, and I tell everyone, listen, I love Gold's Gym. I love the atmosphere. I love the history. I love being in that gym, because there's so much history that's in that gym that, for those of us who love bodybuilding, and not just because we're bodybuilders, but because we're a fan of the sport. Yeah. When you walk into Gold's Gym, you feel the energy of all the past, athletes who's been in that gym to train, from, Flex Wheeler to Chris Cormier to, Paul Pitt, Tom Prince. And you look up on the wall of fame and you see, all the other, prior Mr. Olympia. And then you walk around the gym and you see, all the bodybuilders that have set foot in that gym and train at one point or another, and motivated and inspired you. you know, the hardest part of the time is just to block all that out because it can be overwhelming at times. You know, you spend a lot of time looking around. And I know I have, even in prep mode, where I spend a lot of time just glazing on the wall, just kind of like,
do you?
Like, you know, you have this emotion that goes through your head, like, man, that's Arnold, you know. You look over, you're like, you know, man, you know, that's Ronnie, that's Jay, you know. You look across the room and you see Dexter Jackson training, you know, and you look in the wall, you see Phil Heath, you see all these guys, and you know, it get overwhelming at times because you know you're embarking on a journey that these guys did before, and you know, here you are in full prep mode, and emotion takes over your time because you're like, you start questioning yourself because I know I have, where I'm like, man, am I as good as these guys? Like, am I, you know, why am I doing this?
Well, you've got to stand out to prove it, mate.
Yeah, you know, it's like you're in the house of greatness, and you know, for me as a fan, you know, when I see, you know, a former pro walk in the gym, I'm just kind of like, you know, like Mike Christian walking one day, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Mike Christian.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you, really, I love to hear that element of, you know, like you know, you're a Mr. Olympia, one of 15 men who's ever to do it. To hear that you still have that kind of that sort of awe of being a fan and seeing people like Mike Christian. I mean, I had Mike Christian on a few weeks ago, and
Batman Baker walking one day, and I froze. I'm like, oh my God, I was like, there's Aaron Baker. And I mean, people look at me because they're like, "What?" I'm like, "This Aaron Baker." I'm like, "You don't know who Aaron Baker is?" I'm like, "That's Batman Baker." Like, you know, like you guys have to understand, like, you know, like my physique, those guys' physique. You know, like, I mean, even funny story. So, Flex Wheeler, I had Flex Wheeler number forever, and I'm talking like forever before I was even a pro.
Okay.
And there are times that, you know. And I've had lunch with him. I mean, I have lunch with him and everything. And I remember I had lunch with him one day at the firehouse. And he said to me, well, how come you never call me?
Yeah.
You know, dude, like, I can't. Like, you know, I'm saving that phone call, like, in case of emergency, like, break glass, you know, like.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you don't take advantage of something like that and just call, you know, Flex Wheeler just to call Flex Wheeler.
Yeah.
You know, it was so bad that I wanted his autograph for years. I mean, I would go to Expo and I'd see him and I just stood there and go like,
really?
How do you walk up? And I was a pro.
Really? When was this? When was this, Shawn? When was this? When was this?
And I expect Wheeler for his autograph. It wasn't until I took third in Dallas.
Yes.
And he came over and he congratulated me. He said, "Man, congratulations! You go to the Olympia." And I was like, "Oh, you know, thank you so much." And I was like, "Can you do me a huge favor?" He goes, "Hey, what's going on, man?" I was like, "Can I have your autograph?" And he was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I've been dying to get your autograph like for years now."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Get out of here." I'm like, "No, seriously, like, you know, can I have your autograph?" Because for me, those guys, I mean, they're the guys. They're the legend. They're the icons. You know, up to this day, I mean, Kevin LeBron lived 30 minutes from me in Maryland, and I was afraid to talk to Kevin, you know, because I know what those guys did. And for me, you know, you have to be humble when you're in the presence of greatness, you know. You know, I know they said, you know, that you're, training to your idol become your rival, but for me, those guys are in a completely different league. And, you know, all these years training, I've always looked to those guys for, you know, for motivation and inspiration. Yeah. You know, so to this day, even when I see those guys, I'm still like, oh my God, Kevin, you know, or oh my God, you know, Flex, like, you know. Yeah. But that's just respect, you know, because I know if it wasn't for those guys, the opportunity for me to be who I am today would not be there. You know, it wasn't the work that they put in and the path that they walked, you know, there would be no path for Shawn Rhoden, you know, with my physique. And, you know, I mimicked my physique off those guys all these years. Yeah.
I think that answers your question, Kaleem, because before we started filming, I said, come on, you gotta get some questions for Shawn. And you said, who was your inspiration? And you've mentioned Kevin LeBron, Flex Wheeler. Wow.
Flex Wheeler. And, I admire Flex Wheeler, man. I think he was the first bodybuilder that I ever saw. And I was just like, I want to look like that guy.
What year was that? Can you remember?
I went to the Arnold, and he was competing against Ronnie.
97?
I can't remember what year it was.
97?
It was like late 90s. And I remember
97.
like looking at those guys, and I was like, man, I would never be like these guys. Like, these guys are bodybuilders.
Yeah.
You know, even, listen, I trained with Ronnie in Texas, and I had the opportunity of traveling around the world with him for an entire year. And I was in awe because when Ronnie knocked on my door in Spain and said he wanted to sign me, and you could ask him, I asked him why.
2011. 2011.
Yeah, like 2012 when I won Arnold Classic Spain.
Yeah.
He knocked at my door and he says he wants to sign me, and I said, why? I was like, you're Ronnie Coleman. I was like, you don't need an athlete.
Wow.
Because, and that was just out of respect. I'm like, you know, you Ronnie Coleman, you like the eighth wonder of the world. You're like the best bodybuilder on the planet. Why do you need an athlete? You know, and you know, we spoke, and I was just like, listen. I tell people I signed with Ronnie, it wasn't about money. It was about me having the opportunity to pick the greatest bodybuilder of all times, brain. I mean, like, dissect it, watch how he trained. I remember training with him in Metroflex, and he was retired. And man, he was training like he was getting ready for the Olympia.
Yeah.
And I said, Ronnie, why do you train like this? He says, I don't know any better, Shawn. Yeah. I'm like, but you're retired.
Did you ever have any like? Did you ever have anyone like? Because when I've worked with Ronnie at the for his company, and even it doesn't matter what time you finished, how late, whether you've had one meal that day or two or whatever, he will still want to train. I remember it like till 2 a.m. he was still training, and it just blows my mind.
I've been through that touring with him. I've been through that where we get off the plane and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and he's calling somebody. He's like, hey, Tony, can you open the gym with just man? And I'm like, we're going to the gym?
Yeah.
Just, you know,
wow.
We went to the hotel, dropped our bag off, and we had the gym training at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Amazing.
You know, all those years being among these guys, man, you know, these great athletes and, you know, Mr. Olympia, I think that's just inspired me more and more, where I fall more and more in love with the sport of bodybuilding, you know, because, you know, I see these guys who are retired and still putting in the time.
Yeah.
You know, they're still on the grind. I look at Ronnie and, you know, I talked to him for his birthday. You know, he's like, you know, Shawn, I think I'm just going to be training at the house now. I wish I had his gym at his house.
Oh, no. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Because his gym is magnificent. His gym is better than most gym I've trained at.
It costs, Shawn, it costs more than his house, that gym.
I know. And I'm like, you know, I would die if I had that set up. Like, you would never see me. You'll see me pop out for the Olympia. Like, where have you been? I'm like, at home.
Yeah.
Like, seriously?
One day a year.
I need to leave. Like, you know, but, you know, it's athletes like that over the years that have just inspired me and motivated me to just want to always create the best version of myself. You know, Ronnie has done it. You know, Kevin has done it. You know, idolized Flex Wheeler. You know, looked up to Jay Cutler, like all these guys, man. And I looked at what they've done and the perseverance and, you know, the dedication that they put in, you know, and it's like, man, I want that. Yeah. You know, I want that every day.
Yeah. Shawn, I mean, the first time I ever personally saw him, obviously it was when you won was it 2010 North Americans, that's where you turned pro. And then 2011, you were 11th at Olympia. I mean, 11th at Olympia, that's not a bad, you know, pro Olympia debut.
That was a great year for me. I told people I was never going to go back to the Olympia after that. I was like,
really?
Man, like, this is my first Olympia third pro show. I took 11. I was like, if I never went back to the Olympia, I am happy. I was like, you know why? Because I've known plenty of guys that tried for years to get a pro card and never got one.
Yeah.
I knew plenty of guys that, you know, got a pro card but never had the opportunity to compete at the Olympia. And I have plenty of guys that went to the Olympia and never had an opportunity to actually play. So for me to place 11, out of, it was like 38 guys, you know, my first time out, I was like 222 pounds.
Is that all you were? Like, is that all you were?
That's all I was just like,
wow, okay.
Yeah, like if I remember getting back home and they're like, how did you do? I was like, I placed 11. And they're like, why is here?
Yeah,
like, it's the Olympia. I was like, do you know how nerve-wracking that was for me to be at the Olympia, my third pro show? Probably if it wasn't for Jay Cutler, I would have fallen apart. because backstage, and I thank Jay all the time I see him for this. I was backstage. We just did I think our quarter turns, and I'm standing next to this table with Gatorade and water, and I'm trying to get some Gatorade, and I'm shaking like a leaf.
Yeah.
And Jay walked up and he goes, "Just take it all in, man." And I'm like, "Oh shit, Jay Cutler." He's like, he goes, here. He's like, hand me his Gatorade, and he goes, "Just take it all in, man. Just take it in." And I'm like, at that point, I didn't know if I should drink his Gatorade or run and put it in my bag, because I'm like, Jay Cutler just gave me his Gatorade. What do you do? You're like, and he's like, just breathe. You're going to be here many more times. And I looked him dead in the face. I was like, I don't think I'm ever coming back here, man.
I think you did. I think you did.
Just take it in. And that was, ever since that moment, all that fear of being at the Olympia and being overwhelmed to this day just went away, because I'm like, man, if Jay Cutler didn't know me from Adams and walked over and told me that I was going to be back at the Olympia.
Yeah.
I was like, I had no plans or dreams. For me, that was my Olympia, placed in 11.
So what changed? Because the next year you jumped up to third place. I feel so lucky because I was there. I flew over for the destination groundbreaking ceremony in Texas for GASP. So I got to see your win at the Dallas Europa.
That was a good one.
I know, because I was
Aceto change.
Oh, is that what it was?
Aceto changed the narrative.
How?
Because I went to FIBO right after, early 2012, and prior to that, I did the Flex Pro, and I took fourth. I did the Arnold, and I took eighth. I had hernia surgery right after that, and then I went to FIBO, and I'm sitting with Charles Glass, and he's talking to me about coming out to LA and train. And, I've told Charles for years, I'm not at that level. I've seen the Flex Wheeler and the Chris Camille and the Paul Dillett and the Rico McClinton, and the Dennis James and all these guys that you've worked with at Gold's Gym. I'm like, Charles, I'm just not there. And he looked me in the face and he says, Shawn, I think you have amazing physique. He goes, but your window of opportunity is this much. He goes, if you're going to make a move in the sport, you need to do it right now. I didn't understand what he was saying. So he was like, you need to find a coach. You need to find somebody that understands your physique. And I'm like, who? And he goes, the only person I could think of is Chris Aceto. And I'm like, really? Because I knew of Chris Aceto.
Yeah.
I've never met the man, but I knew of him. And I was like, Chris Aceto. I was like, man, that would be awesome. I get to work with Chris Aceto. So I ended up getting this. I tracked everybody down at FIBO, tried to get Chris' number.
Yeah.
And finally got it from Troy Alves.
Troy Alves, yeah.
And I remember I got off my flight in D.C. and I called Chris, walking to my car, calling him that Sunday. I called him the first time, got his voicemail. I was like, man, I'm going to call him again. So I called him again, and he answered. And I introduced myself. I was like, hey, Mr. Aceto, my name is Shawn Rhoden. I was just wondering if you're looking to take on any more clients. And he goes, oh, I know who you are. And I was like, what?
Come on, really?
No,
really?
Honestly, I was like, what? You know who I am? He goes, yeah. He's like, I saw you at the Flex Pro and at the Arnold.
Yeah.
I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, I just did a radio show. And Dave asked me, if you had an opportunity to work with a guy like Shawn Rhoden, what would he do? And Chris said, I told him he would win the Olympia.
He said that.
And for me, I was just like,
he said that.
Okay. And, we spoke for a while, and, I was like, listen, I'm just coming off hernia surgery. I haven't trained in 12 weeks. And he goes, you know what? Send me some pictures. I sent him some pictures. I called him up and we're talking on the phone. And I know what the pictures look like. And we laugh, me and him laugh about this picture because he'd tell you exactly what I was wearing.
Yeah.
And
it was like a front relaxed, was it? Or
I saw the full poses. I'm just
no training for 12 weeks.
I'm 227, 28 pounds, skinny fat, haven't trained, or died in 12 weeks because I had hernia surgery.
Yeah.
And he's looking at the picture and I could hear him go, mm-hmm. And he goes, you'll be top 30 Olympian this year.
He said top 3.
And I laughed out loud. I was like, and he goes, no, you'll be top 30 Olympian. And I was like, okay. I'm like, what the hell is this guy smoking? I was like,
Shawn, sorry, was that? Sorry to interrupt. Was this after you won the Dallas?
No, this was before we even did a show. This was
really?
Like my first picture.
Wow, that's a good eye.
Top 3 in the Olympia.
Wow.
And I'm laughing. I'm just like, I was like, okay, I'm like, this guy's crazy. He's a loony, because listen, I'm a realist. I knew what I looked like in the pictures that I sent him, and I'm like, I've been training 12 weeks. Before that, I did the Arnold and the Flex Pro, and I'm just kind of like, I knew what I look at those show, and I'm going in my head like, okay, the guys in 2011 at the Olympia was Jay Cutler, Dexter Jackson, Phil Heath, Branch Warren, and I'm going down the list. I'm like, where do I fit?
Right.
In the top 3.
Yeah. And
he goes, no, you'll be in the top 3. And, our prior conversation before that, I told him I wanted to make the top 10. I was like, my goal is to make the top 10. And
he did better than that.
Yeah, he says, I was like, listen, Chris, if I make the top 10, I will get you tickets to go to I said, if you get me ticket, I'll get you tickets to go to Jamaica. He goes, no, you'll be in the top 3. And I was like, okay, if I make the top 3, I get you and your wife ticket to go to Jamaica for vacation.
Yeah.
And he goes, start looking. And he hang up. So I got off the phone and I looked at the girl I was dating at the time and I said, Chris Aceto just said, I'm going to be top 3 at the Olympia this year. She goes, which Olympia? I was like, I was like, this year. She goes, he knows you need to qualify. I'm like, I think so. And she's laughing. I'm laughing too, because at this point I'm like, there's no way on this planet. And that's just me being real with myself, knowing that I just came from the Olympia and I took 11. I mean, I'm happy. I was like, if I would have placed 10th, I would have been happy.
Really? But
he was adamant about, you'll be top 3 at the Olympia. And I was just like, okay. And I believed it, but I didn't believe it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this diet. I'm going to do the prep. I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I know I still need to qualify. So I'm like, let's just focus on qualifying. And I remember Chris showed up in Tampa for the Tampa Pro. And listen, that was the best I thought I ever looked, and
Tampa.
I'm excited. Chris walked in, he goes, how do you feel? I'm like, Chris, I feel great. He goes, how do you look? I mean, and this is the first time I'm meeting him face to face.
Right, okay.
And I'm like, it's like, this is the best I've ever looked. I look better than I did at the Olympia. And he goes, okay, let me take a look at you. And I stripped down, he looked at me and he goes, yeah, 50%. I was like, 50% of what? He's like, 50%. He goes, you won't recognize yourself, come prejudging. And I'm like, okay, this guy must be really, really good or he's crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy.
But all I know is that there's a picture of me and him in the room that I saved that I'm looking at. He's wearing a white shirt and some blue jeans and I'm posing. And he has this look at his face like, and I'm looking in the mirror going, holy crap. I don't even recognize the guy I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
So after winning Tampa, he goes, you'll be better in 6 days in Dallas. And I laughed. I was like, there's no way I could be better in 6 days. And he goes, watch, you'll be better in 6 days. And I showed up in Dallas. And this entire time, I started my prep with Chris at 228.
Yeah.
When I won Tampa, I was 229.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you started the prep and finished the prep at the state. So your body composition just completely changed.
Yeah, and when I won Dallas, I was probably like 227.
Okay.
And then when I went to the Olympia, I was probably like 230.
Okay.
But he basically changed the narrative as far as, my life after that, as far as, the way how he prepped, the way how he approached prep, the way how he studies and understands your bodies, where, Chris is, and I'm not just saying this because I work with him, but he's really great at what he does, when it comes to changing your physique. It went from me sending pictures, every 2 days to every other day to every day. Yeah. To sometimes 3-4 times a day.
3-4 times a day, because I know he can make dietary adjustments from day to day based upon the pictures he gets every single day.
For me, my body is a little bit different than most guys, because my body changes sometime like every couple of hours. So I would get up in the morning and send him pictures, do cardio, and I get my diet for that day. And then he goes, okay, shoot me some pictures when you go to the gym. I shoot him some pictures, and I shoot him some pictures after I train, and then shoot him pictures before I go to bed.
Really?
And the same thing in Vegas. He's in the room like every hour and a half. If I get to Vegas on Sunday, he's in the room every hour and a half until I walk on stage.
You see, I've heard people saying they've seen pictures of you or videos or it's 6 weeks out from a big show, and they're like, "There's no way Shawn's gonna be ready." And Chris is always like, "No, that's exactly where Shawn needs to be," because he knows. So he's got that much knowledge and that he can apply, that he knows how he can predict how you're going to look in a day, in 2 days, and certainly in 6 weeks. I mean, that's quite unique, isn't it?
It's amazing, to see the transformation. So, Chris said something to me when I started working with him. He goes, "Shawn, if you're ever behind, you'll be prepping from Maine."
Sorry, say that again.
He says, "If I'm ever behind in prep, I'll be doing my prep from Maine." I've never been to Maine to prep. So right. Okay. I know I'm doing, everything that I'm supposed to do, just constantly just sending pictures and update when he needs it. Yeah. Just to stay in track. And, he's really good at making those tiny little adjustments. Yeah. Where most people be like, "I don't get it. Like, he just did that." But you look in the mirror, he goes, "Holy crap." That little bit of change that he made, like day to day, paints such a big picture. Yeah, you have to shake your head and go, "I didn't see that coming." So I never panic, He says, rule number 1, no stress. Rule number 2, see rule number 1. Rule number 3, send me pictures. Rule number 4, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. I was about to say it. Yeah.
Anything else, he goes, don't be one of those guys that's on the Instagram checking to see how anybody look. I've never spent a minute in any prep worried about what anybody's looking like. I'm like, if I'm doing that, then I'm taking time away from my prep. So, I just follow the steps and the rules and sending pictures. Yeah. So 2012, I mean, that was the year you won Dallas, you won the British Grand Prix. I mean, Flex won the 202, but no, 212 then. Yeah, 212. Yeah, so that was really a pivotal year for you, because you 3 pro wins. You got that year I won Tampa, then I won Dallas. I won Arnold, Spain.
Arnold,
I won the British Grand Prix, and I took second to Wolf in Prague.
I'll tell you a story about Prague. I was at that show. And I was covering the event with Natalia Mello. Remember the 2012 bikini Olympia champion, right? And I said, she said, right. So I said, look, whoever. I said, if I think Shawn's gonna win, I said, if he wins, I interview him on stage. And she says, no, I think Dennis Wolf's gonna win. And I said, well, okay, then if Dennis Wolf wins, you interview him on stage. So we actually did a little bet, and I lost the bet, but. Yeah, that was a good show. That was a
tough loss for me, because I knew going to that show that, man, I was firing in all cylinder. I was in kill mode for all those shows. Like, I remember when I took, so 2012, I had no sponsor. Right. And I booked everything with Chris. Yeah. And this is where I gained mad respect for Chris. I remember calling Chris up and say, I don't know what the outcome is going to be this year. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the Olympia. I was like, but what do you think about going on tour after the Olympia? Yeah. And he goes, I'm in. So I booked that entire tour after the Olympia, not knowing what my fate was if I was going to even go to the Olympia.
Okay. So where did you tour?
I booked everything in credit card.
Where did you tour?
Huh?
Where did you tour that year? Sorry, 2012 you're talking about now, yeah?
Yeah, 2012. Like while we were in prep mode, I was
okay.
I don't know what's going to happen, Chris, but I have, I have a lot of faith that whatever we're doing here,
yeah,
like this year is going to be like, I make it or break it here. And I was like, it doesn't matter what the outcome is going to be for the Olympia. I booked Tampa, I booked Dallas, I booked the Olympia, I booked everything for after the Olympia and credit cards. And it was like, you know what? I'm just going to max everything out. I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to bet on you. I'm going to bet on us.
Yeah.
And whatever happened, we're just going to just keep going from one show to the next.
Yeah.
Without knowing if I was even going to qualify for the Olympia.
Yeah. And
Chris was just like, okay, I'm in. I'm all in.
Fantastic.
And, it was probably the best investment it's the best investment I've ever made.
Yeah.
Because I could have not qualified for the Olympia and we would have still we going on tour.
Yeah.
But he was like, hey, I'm all in. Like whatever it is, like I'm all in.
Do you think putting yourself in that position of kind of pressure, do you think that brought out the best in you that year?
I've always betted myself in the sport of bodybuilding, or in any sport. I was a soccer player and a swimmer before I became a bodybuilder. And, I wanted to be honest, I never thought I was going to be a bodybuilder. My entire upbringing in Jamaica, I thought I was going to be somewhere, maybe playing in the Premier League or Serie A playing soccer. If anybody would have said to me like, hey, you know what, Shawn, like one day you're going to be a bodybuilder, I'd have been like, what the hell is bodybuilding?
Because you were
all about,
yeah.
It was all about, I'm going to be a soccer player. Like growing up, it was like, I'm going to be playing in the Serie A. I'm going to be playing the Premier League. Like, there was nothing I couldn't do with a soccer ball, and I ended up finding the gym, and next thing I knew, I was like, wow, I kind of like this. I'm going to be a bodybuilder. And, I got laughed at, but I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a bodybuilder. I'm just going to see where this takes me, and quit soccer,
But didn't you have 10 years where because you tried bodybuilding, and then you had 10 years away, and then you kind of came back to it around 2009, 2010, wasn't it?
Yeah, what happened was my dad got diagnosed with cancer, lung cancer in 2002.
Okay.
And they gave him 3 months to live. So I quit bodybuilding. Watching what my dad went through with chemo. I was like, I'm going to take some time, and help out my family, help out my mom, But for me, the reality of it was, I was like, here we are spending all this time and energy trying to make sure that we look great on the outside. I was like, but when your time is up, your time is up. So I quit bodybuilding. I was like, you know what? I quit bodybuilding. I took over my dad's business. I was doing home remodeling, kitchen and bathroom design, and bodybuilding was like the furthest thing in my mind.
What brought you back?
I was like, everything that has to do with bodybuilding, I threw away. I was like, belts, gloves, all that stuff was
really.
I'm like, I'm just focused on life, and reality is at the end of the day, I got to provide, and I provide for my mom. So I quit bodybuilding until one day actually I ended up in a hospital from drinking too much because I started drinking. And I ended up in the hospital, and it wasn't pleasant. I had to quit drinking cold turkey, and after that was over, I could hear my dad haunting me, like, when are you going to get back in the gym? And that went on for a while, where I was like, okay, because that was the last conversation we had the night he passed away. It was like, he looked at me, he goes, hey, when are you getting back in the gym? It's been a year. And here I am, drinking myself to death after he passed away, literally being suicidal and depressed. And I tried to kill myself a couple of times. And, I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to do something. I had a cousin that was bugging me about helping him, with a couple of clients at a show. And I completely forget until he showed up on my doorstep, and he was like, hey, today's the show. And, I went and I sat in the back, and I'm looking, it's an MPC amateur show. And I'm sitting in the back of the audience, and I'm looking at the guys on the stage, and I'm like, huh. I'm like, wow, these guys are still the same size. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
And, I wasn't trying to be, ignorant or anything, but I'm looking at these guys, and I'm like, man, this is bodybuilding. Like, these guys should at least, I'm like, it's been like, what, 7-8 years? Like, these guys should at least be like one weight class heavier.
Yeah.
And everybody started laughing at me. They're like, dude, like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, dude, like, I know these guys. I used to compete with these guys. Like seriously, bodybuilding mean that you building your body. Like, these guys are just competing in the same weight class that they've been competing in like 7, 8, 9 years ago. Like, what? And they're like, you think you can do better? I'm like, dude, like, listen, I'm fat and out of shape. Little Debbie's my best friend, and Tookie's like stacking my nightstand.
Yeah.
If I go to the gym, I'm doing better than these guys.
Yeah.
And they're like, you really think you can do better? I'm like, dude, I got nothing but time. I was like, 7 years and they're still at the same spot. Give me 7 years and see where I end up. And my cousin bet me $1. And I think that was kind of like the motivation that I needed.
that dollar.
And it kind of fall in place because right after that, I had a friend of mine that called me up and he says, hey, listen, I'm the general manager at this Gold's Gym, close to your house. He goes, if you're thinking about joining, I heard you were running your mouth at the show. I give your friends and family a discount.
So he called you out on it. He called you out on it.
Yeah, he was like,
yeah.
I was like, I get a free membership. I was like, okay, and I went down and I signed up and I was like, you know what, man, I didn't leave in my own terms. I want to do one more show. And it wasn't about me turning pro or anything. I just wanted to do one show.
So was that the North American when you turned pro?
Yeah, so I did a show in Delaware.
Okay.
And I didn't tell anyone. I was training. I was going to the gym and nobody was there and I trained. And I decided I was going to do this show in Delaware and I drove like 3 hours to Delaware the night before the show. Didn't tell one soul.
Didn't tell anyone.
Hey, if I don't do that well, nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
So I drove 3 hours to Delaware by myself and to do the show and I won. While I was there, I run into this guy named Chris Zimmerman. He was with RX Muscle. And he took some pictures and he posted them in the forum. He posted them in the forum of actually muscular development. He posted them in the forum of muscular development, Get Big or No Bull.
Yeah.
They had this forum back then.
Yeah, still do.
And he says, what do you guys think about this guy if he did North America?
Yeah.
And the response was like, who's this guy? And there were a few people that knew him. And they were like, where have you been? Like, he looks great. You should do it in North America. And I was just like, I don't think so, man. I've seen the guys that are competing lately. Like, those guys at national level are beasts. Anyway, North America was like 4 weeks out. And I was just like, man, he won't hurt to see where I fit in. So I literally drove from DC to Cleveland by myself.
By yourself?
Didn't tell anyone.
How many hours did that take?
It was like 13 hours.
13 hours, and you're on prep, and you're obviously competing.
It was before we have smartphones with map on it.
Yeah.
So I drive where I had to print MapQuest out. And it was like, okay, in 13.6 miles, and look at the speedometer and go, okay, 13.6 miles, I'm going to make a left. And I drove all the way to Cleveland by myself.
Wow.
Like, you know what, man? I'm just, no expectation. Like, whatever happened, I'm just going to go with the flow. And I remember there's a picture that they posted online where I was sitting backstage and I watched every weight class weighed in. I just sat there like looking at these guys going, man, these guys are huge. Like the bantamweight looks like lightweight, the lightweight looked like welterweight looked like middleweight. And I'm just sitting there like, man, like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm gonna get killed. Like, And I remember even,
It's shocking, isn't it?
I weighed like 210.
210.
And I was just like,
That's not a big heavyweight, is it?
I was trying to be a light heavyweight. I was like, let's just see what happened.
Yeah.
But I watched everybody weigh in from, the bantamweight all the way to the super heavies. And the super heavies finished, and I was still sitting backstage, and someone said, "Hey, Rhoden, don't you need to get I forget to book a tanning appointment." I was so focused on, all the guys weighing in and driving that I completely forget, you need to get tan. But luckily, I went back in the forum and I found some lady that was tanning in a hotel, and she was like, "Well, if you showed up, I could probably squeeze you in." And she ended up, for the past couple of years, actually hire every Olympia to come and tan me in Vegas because of that, because I felt as if she was my lucky charm.
Oh, okay. Not that she did a good. Obviously, she did a good job as well. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, she tanned me that night, and I was just like, you know what? Thank you so much. And
yeah.
I was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And was fortunate to win the overall in North America.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I want to fast forward because we know we got you were third in 2015 Olympia. You were second again. Well, you were second in 2016. That was your highest placing. Now I want to go.
That was a rough year for me, though. 2016, I had food poisoning.
Why? What happened?
Man, to be honest, man, I don't even know how I make it on stage in 2016.
And you still got second.
Yeah, I mean, it was. We get to Vegas, and it was Monday.
Yeah.
I had a food prep company that shipped me some food, and Chris looked at me.
Don't mention the name.
Chris was like, Chris looked at me and he goes, "Oh, you look great,"
Yeah.
And he said, "Okay, you know what? Your next meal." He goes, "Let's do 8 ounces of salmon and a cup and a half of rice."
I knew you were gonna say fish.
And I ate it. And I knew right away, I got sick to the stomach where I was throwing up. I was running to the bathroom. I was just kind of like, oh my God, like in a fetal position on the floor.
Yeah.
Can't move,
oh no.
Okay, on my deathbed, literally.
Yeah.
And, Chris, walked in and told him what was going on. And he goes, now this was Tuesday. And he goes, okay, and I love him for this. He goes, "Do you still want to compete? Are you still able to compete?" And I was like, "Chris, I don't care if they drag me out on the stage. I'm not leaving Vegas. I trained my ass off for this. I'm not."
But Shawn, aside from that, sorry to interrupt. Aside from how you felt, how did you look? Because sometimes I've heard when
great.
You look great. Yeah, because I'm saying you're dried out, you're dehydrated.
I'm like,
yeah,
I look great. I was like, you're gonna have to drag me out of here in a wheelchair. And I
feel like shit, but you look great.
He was like, okay. He goes, "We got this."
Yeah.
So he ran down to my buddy Guy's sister in a room, and he came back with donuts, like these little donuts.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "I'm gonna carve you up in donuts."
Okay.
And I was like,
Second Olympia.
Okay. So the only thing I was able to digest was these little donut holes and like 20 grams of whey isolate.
Right.
And just a little bit of water, and I carb up on that for the show. And I remember my family came and they were like, "Are you sure you don't want to go to the emergency room?" Because I couldn't even stand up. I was cramping so much because I was dehydrated.
Yeah.
And
well,
I'm like, "Listen, guys."
Oh, we've lost audio there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Corey, we'll cut that out. Make a note.
I was like, I don't care if I just need someone to get me backstage.
Yeah.
I was like, that's all. So Stan will tell this story. Stan was in my room, and he was like, "Shawn, I knew what it'd take to be at the Olympia after watching you in 2016. Mm-hmm. He goes, because I remember carrying you backstage. You were like cramp in and try to keep a straight face so they wouldn't kick you out or send you to the emergency room."
Yeah.
He goes, but the funny thing was they call your name and you were like popped up and ready to go. I was like, you know what? Because I was like, I knew what it meant to be at the Olympia.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't need you guys to carry me back to the car, but I was like, I just need to be in that atmosphere where the adrenaline kicked in and you at the Olympia and the sacrifice that prior guys made to be at the Olympia.
Yeah.
So he carried me backstage. I went out and posed. They carried me back to the car, like just bending over, just cramping, hamstring, stomach, everything.
I was at that Olympia, Shawn. I was at that Olympia, and I had no idea because was it? I mean, I remember Flex Lewis telling me he was literally thrown up behind the curtain, and then he walked out on stage, and of course the adrenaline kicked in, and you don't let it show. You know?
That was me.
That was you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't care whatever happened. Like, I'm competing. Like, I train all this time to be at the Olympia. I'm getting on stage at the Olympia. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen afterwards.
Yeah.
I was like, but I just need to be in that atmosphere where, okay, the adrenaline kicked in and you deal with the consequence afterwards.
Silly question, but I'm glad.
2017 was, man, 2017, I never thought that I was going to even make it to the Olympia because I broke my jaw and my jaw was wide shut for almost 12 weeks where I ate through a straw.
I couldn't, because I saw you at the Olympia that year, 2017, and I saw you at the Arnold Europe, and I noticed you'd lost like a bit of fullness around your chest and your shoulders. And I'll be honest, I thought, I didn't know about the broken jaw. I didn't know about, I thought, he's on the.
I remember that conversation. You're like, oh, he's in the decline.
He's on I thought, Shawn, I hold my hands up, mate. I thought, this guy, okay, he's starting to dip off now. He's going to probably just slip on the placings. And I mean, I didn't even have you fifth at that Olympia. So, I mean, obviously, you obviously know what I'm leading to the year after. It makes it even more kind of amazing, really, and just mind-blowing what you managed to do. So tell us about the 2017 Olympia anyway. Just expand
so
on that.
I broke my jaw. My jaw was wired shut. And the doctor told me, he goes, and it was funny because when he told me he was going to have to wire my mouth shut, I was like, is there another option? He goes, no. I was like, there has to be another option. My job requires me to eat. And he goes, I'm sorry. Like, you won't be able to eat. So I remember calling Chris Aceto. Yeah. Told him what happened. And the first word out of Chris' mouth is, do you have a blender? I just told you I broke my jaw, and you're like, do you have a blender? Like, didn't even miss a beat. He was just like, we're doing the Olympia. And I was like, yeah, of course we're doing the Olympia. So he's like, he sent me my diet, and he's like,
blend it all.
14 ounces of steak, 10 ounces of potatoes.
A beef shake.
And he's like, cook it, and then blend it and drink it. And I'm like, what? That was me. I was like, Chris, I don't know. Like,
how the hell did you do that?
It's all about the mindset. The mindset is, do I want to quit right now and just chum up the air to it's a loss? Or am I going to try this and try to make it to the Olympia? And
did you not want to skip the year? Was it because you took second in 2016 that you really didn't want to skip the year and lose any momentum? Why?
This is my thing is the Olympia, the pinnacle of bodybuilding, the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, the World Cup of bodybuilding. And when you look back the history of bodybuilding, you see all the guys that ever fight, and claw their way to make it just to be on stage at the Olympia. And you look at all the guys that at one point or another were qualified for the Olympia and says, I'm going to take a year off and I'll come back next year. And they never made it back. So my mindset was like, okay, like either you try 100%, but you can't quit. You're going to have to at least try to make it. Just try to make it. You're qualified for the Olympia. There's somebody out there that wish they were in your shoes. What would they do? So I was like, okay, you know what? If my coach is telling me that he still believes in me and we're going to the Olympia, I was like, okay. So without hesitant, I cook my steak, I blend it. I cook my salmon, I blend it. I cook tilapia, I blend it. Like whatever it was. I was like, you know what? If it means me sucking this to a straw just to get my nutrient in, I'm going back to the Olympia. Like win, lose, or draw. And at no point, did I doubt myself that I was going to be at the Olympia and that I was. And I'll send you a picture one day that would probably blow your mind. If it wasn't for like a last minute mishap, like the pictures that I had in the room, you would have been like, holy shit. Like it took me getting my oil sprayed on top of my tan instead of rubbed in. Yeah. that had me just look faded when I walk out of prejudgment.
No.
But when I left the room,
Really?
you would have been like, holy shit, I can't believe this guy was eaten to a straw and looked like this.
So that is hardcore, mate. That is really hardcore.
I remember walking on stage.
Yeah.
And it hit me. I looked up on the monitor, and if you watch that video of me walking at prejudging in 2017, I looked up on the screen and I goes, what the because I couldn't believe it. And I was like, I knew what I looked like when I left the room. Yeah. I knew what I looked like when I was backstage. And then I'm looking at this guy in the monitor, and I'm like, okay. I was like, just don't lose it. Just pull yourself together. Just pull yourself together. Stay focused. And I just went out. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, what happened? Yeah. And I remember getting back to the room, and I mean, Chris is like, 1 and 1 is 2. Like, I know what he looks like. And I'm like, Chris, I know what I look like too. And everybody was in the room was like, how does he look now? And Chris is like, I know what he looks like. And I stripped down in the room after that oil came off of my clothes. I was peeled inside out.
Dry.
And I was just like, you know what? Okay. We didn't screw up here. We did a great thing. This was a great prep. Nobody expected us to be here. Yeah. But I saw something that prep that I knew how far I would go to win the Olympia.
That is pretty. Honestly, I know I've said it, but that is pretty hardcore, Shawn.
I looked at everything, and while people might think, oh man, this is a loss. You got 5th. I'm like, I've been in the top 3 since 2012. Yeah. I was like, this is not a loss for me. I was like, nobody expect me to be here. Like, and for me to look the way I did, I was just like, I learned a hell of a lot about myself that prep. Like, man, like there's so much more in me than people realize. And even Chris said that. Chris was like, you know what, Shawn? This is probably one of our greatest prep. Because the result might not have speak for itself. The challenge
you were faced with.
You answered that challenge. You never had any doubt yourself or your ability. Shit. You were like, we're going to the Olympia. And I was like, hey, there's a lot of guys that I beat. Like, people thought faith was you dipping off the scale. Me, I was like, man, what happened to all these guys?
I was like, okay, Shawn's on the slide now. He's done. Okay, let the next generation come through.
I was like, what's your excuse, guys? Like, I had a broken jaw. Like, what's your excuse? I didn't use it as an excuse.
Shawn.
And I still beat you guys.
Yeah, Shawn. So when did you get when were you able, because I didn't know about this. I didn't know till way after the Olympia. Because some guys, sometimes they'll like when Kevin Navone hurt his knee and stuff, and he wants to keep it quiet because they don't want to wind it. So when did you get the wiring off your jaw? When did that come off? And when was it? I mean, obviously it impeded most of your prep, but it didn't stop you. I
didn't have an off season. Let's put it that way.
Right. Okay.
For me, it was there was no off season. It was like jaw was breaking in February. Wire shut, March, April, May. And I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm not going to say a word to anyone. Like, I'm just going to train. And I remember I took some pictures in June, and man, it was the pictures look horrible. Right. I remember looking at these pictures, and I was just like, oh my God, like, seriously, like, are you serious, dude? Like, I mean, look at the picture. I'm like, okay, my knees are ashy. I was like, okay, this is gonna be a challenge.
Sure, but put aside the eating thing. Didn't it hurt when you trained as well with the blood pumping and? Yes. Oh man, what?
As I said, I learned my pain threshold that prep.
Yeah.
Because I could not clinch, and if I clinch, there's a slight chance I might actually crack my jaw.
Yeah.
From actually it being recovered. And that was actually one of the hardest things. After I got the wires taken out and I thought I was going to be able to eat, it was like, no, you can't chew anything. It's like, now that the wires are off, you have to be even more careful. It's like, you can't chew bread, you can't chew steak. Doctor was like, pretty much anything that you do just have to be mush. So I'm like, I went from drinking soup to eating mush. He's like, and
that's a good quote. I
had to do that for like another month because he was like, now you have to retrain your jaw.
Yeah.
As far as not to just bite down.
Right.
Like it has to be like a soft chew. He goes, honestly, you could chew a piece of bread and you could re-crack your jaw.
Oh,
because you don't understand the force that your mouth used to chew.
What?
So it's like you have to be very, very careful. So if it's not, it's like you could eat eggs, mashed potatoes. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Baby food.
I've been drinking eggs. I've been drinking mashed potatoes. I've been drinking salmon. He goes, but
eat your applesauce, Shawn.
You don't want to. Here, this is what you got to do.
Wow. I bet you look like Bane in the gym with your mask on. And
It was, man, I had to learn to talk like a ventriloquist. It was like, so how are you guys doing? I remember,
wow.
You know what? And I was working. I was still going to expos and whatnot.
Yeah.
I remember being in Australia, and this guy trashed me in social media.
Yeah.
He was like, I came up to talk to Rhoden. He was such an ass. Like, I was talk to him.
Yeah.
And I had to send him a DM. I was like, dude, I couldn't talk. Like, my jaw was broken. Like, my mouth is wide shut because I'm trying to talk to him, but he was like, yeah, man, okay. I appreciate the support. Thank you. And he thought it was being a dick. And I was like, no. Like,
and on top of that, you've got...
I can't open my mouth.
Yeah.
You know, to actually speak to you. Like, you know, it's nothing against you or anybody, but it was like that. Like, you know, I was still going to expos and whatnot, but I went to FIBO and it was just like, same thing. Like, just couldn't talk. Like, you know, people were looking at me like I was crazy. Like, but then afterward, when they find out, they're like, oh my God, like, dude, I am so sorry. Like, I did not realize your mouth was wide shut. We just thought you were just arrogant and, you know, being selfish. I'm like, no. Like, I love meeting the fans. I love talking with you guys.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you got these British journalists saying he's on the slide. So
I remember talking to you backstage about that, you know, but you know, 2018 for me was nothing but redemption, you know, for everything else going on because, you know, I started prepping for the Arnold and ended up with 2 bleeding ulcer and had 7 blood transfusions 7 weeks out and had to pull out of the Arnold. And, you know, I was devastated, man. I almost quit bodybuilding.
Really?
Like, after that. You know?
Sorry, in 2018, in March 2018, you...
2018 started off where I was like, man, you know, I think to this day, my Arnold would have probably been my best ever as a competitor. Because I was so focused, like, you know, I had to redeem myself from the Olympia that, you know, I jumped right back into prep with Aceto and, you know, I knew I was looking good because I sent pictures to Chris one morning and he goes, are these Photoshop?
Really?
I was like, no, Chris. I was like, he goes, did you do something to the pictures? He goes, man, you look, man, this is something different.
Yeah.
So he hopped on a flight that night and flew to LA.
Oh, did he?
He spent more time on his flight than he did being in LA. Just to look at me.
Just
so he could actually just look at me like.
He thought you were photoshopping your pictures.
Back home and, you know, he went back home and a day later I ended up in the hospital. But I literally almost quit after that because, you know, it just got to the point where, you know, you start questioning everything that you've done. Yeah. And for me, my biggest concern, I was like, man, I have a daughter. I was like, you know, do I really want to do this? Like, do I really want to, you know, and, you know, my ulcer was caused by stress and ibuprofen. Like, I thought I'd like tore my pec and I was popping muscle relaxer 800 milligram ibuprofen. And, you know, it caused a hole in my stomach. And, you know, I ended up in the hospital with my hemoglobin below 4. And I just, you know, after being in there, you know, getting blood pumped back into you. And, you know, I got out of the hospital and I sent Chris a picture and I jumped on the treadmill like that day I got out of the hospital because I'm like, you know, we're 6 weeks out from the Arnold. I'm doing the Arnold. And Chris is like, yeah, we're doing the Arnold. And, you know, I sent Jim Manning an email to updating what was going on. He goes, you're not doing the Arnold. He goes, you know, Shawn, you got nothing to prove. You know, you already qualified for the Olympia. It makes no sense. And you literally just got out of the hospital, you know, just rest. And I was like, okay, Jim. And 2 days later, I drove back to LA because I was in Santa Barbara. I drove back to LA. like I'm getting ready for the Arnold.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and Jim Manning is there, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I'm doing the Arnold." He goes, "No, you're not."
Yeah.
He goes, "Shawn, I can't have you do the Arnold. You need to rest." And I thank him for that, because I needed rest at the time. And but I couldn't jumpstart my system.
Yeah.
I was just like mentally, I was just like, you know what, man, I need to start thinking about my daughter. Like, I want to watch her grow up. What am I doing? Like, body's telling me that I need some time. And take some time off. You don't have to do the Olympia this year. You got nothing to prove to anyone. Listen to your body. And I mean, it was a fight. It was just a constant fight, man. And plus, there's some other stuff that was going on behind the scene. And I remember I called Chris up, and I was like, "Hey, Chris, you know what? My family's going to Hawaii," and he's like, "Go." I'm like, "But it's Olympia prep." He's like, "I know, just go." He goes, "Because right now the cars are neutral. You haven't made a decision. Like, you can't seem to get your foot in the pedal. It's
And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas, and we are joined all the way from Spain, Angel Calderon, Emilio Martinez, and Javi. Say your last name. Help me out, guys. Javi, your last names. Come on, say it.
That's right.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay, Angel doesn't speak any English, so Javi is going to kindly translate for us. Okay, now, obviously, Angel Calderon, 10th at the Olympia last year. You won the Romania Pro. I really wanted to get you on because I see you as someone who really is moving up. We saw you at the Brandon Currie Olympia All-Star Tour that I brought Brandon Currie over in February to Granada, wasn't it? Granada?
Yes, Granada.
Granada, yeah. So I wanted to get Angel on because I want to give him some publicity because it's important that these up-and-comers get the publicity. So I want to say thank you for joining us. And Javi, if you can translate, please.
Okay.
Okay. So can you give us some of Angel's contest history so we can introduce him to the viewers?
Sí, Ángel, una pequeña introducción sobre los campeonatos que tú tienes pensado hacer y qué es lo que tienes pensado hacer.
Pues en mente ahora mismo tenemos, se va a hacer en octubre aquí, campeonato profesional que se va a hacer en octubre. Luego me gustaría hacer Rumanía. Y ya para acabar el año, en diciembre, como lo han aplazado a diciembre, el Olympia. Para acabar el año.
So, you want to do the first show. You want to do the first show here in Alicante.
Yeah.
The pro show we made in Alicante. The next one, he's going to make the Romanian one. And then now he want to go to the Olympia because now, the date is changed. So now he can do it. So this is what he want to do. So the first one in Alicante, second one Romania, and then the Olympia, if we take the points.
Okay, the question was actually, we can talk about that in a minute. The question was, what is his contest history? So when did he turn pro? And tell us some of his contest placings in the last couple of years leading up till now.
Sí, que cuentes un poquito tu historia de cómo has llegado a hacerte pro, en tu historia de competiciones, cómo llegaste a hacerte pro, dónde y cómo empezó todo y cómo llegaste a hacerte pro.
Pues mira, mi carretera, empecemos por ejemplo, de lo que es el tema culturismo, empezó por eso, porque vi mi físico que era muy fácil a la hora de competir, enseguida cogía el punto y podía disfrutar todo el año compitiendo, que no sufría. Y el tema de conseguir mi carnet profesional, pues se lo comenté el otro día al vídeo, lo estuvimos hablando, fue en el Campeonato de Europa, Santa Susana. Al haber más de 15 atletas en mi categoría, podía optar a tener el campeonato profesional pro, ¿sabes? Y ahí es cuando entré en la liga profesional.
Okay, so he started to train and everything on the gym. Angel trained for a lot of years on the gym, but he started to try to get pro because from he is easy. it's easy because he don't pain when he prepare the competition. He don't have so much problem with the diet and everything.
Okay.
And he take the pro card to compete with pro just in Santa Susana in the European one, because in that one he has the lucky. They have more than 15 competitors.
Yeah.
So they bring the pro card in that one because they have more than 15. So he competed that one and he win, and he take the pro card to compete in pro.
What year was that, Javi?
Tell me.
Which year?
¿En qué año fue, Ángel?
Pues hace que conseguí el carnet, pues hace 3 años.
3 years ago.
Oh, 3 years.
Yes, 3 years ago. Ángel, in 3 years, he competed in the Olympia and he finished in the top 10 only in 3 years, like with the pro card.
I honestly, last year, for me, there was the two kind of, I don't want to say, kind of rising stars, the ones that I think got everyone talking. The one in the open for me was Patrick Moore. That was the one that everyone was excited about. But in the 212, it was Angel. He was the one that people were talking about. So, and he could have been, I think he could have been higher, but for me, he was the one that kind of got everyone talking, you know?
Yeah, so did you think Angel is going to, in the last competition, he has to take better classification, no?
A better what, sorry?
So do you think Angel in the last competition he has to take better position?
Well,
like that one,
I'm going to go and get something. In fact, I'm going to go get something. In fact, Kaleem, can you go into and get the last 2 issues of MD, please? Because I don't know whether you've seen this, but I actually wrote about Angel in the latest issue of Muscular Development in my column. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? He's going to get it now. So yeah, because I said I felt he was the most underrated pro of 2019. I felt he was the most, the one that had kind of the most potential and was the most underrated. He's the one to watch. He's going to get the magazines from me now.
Yeah. A mirar, porque dice que bueno, que mucha gente.
I'm going to show you something now. I'm going to show you something.
Se que haber quedado mejor en el. Él va a mirar ahora delante de quién quedó delante tuya. Él tiene ahí. Oh yeah.
So there you go. This is Angel Calderon. I said he was the most underrated and overlooked pro of 2019. So sorry, I forgot that in the camera shot. Yeah. So you're in MD now. I've put it into. So you've got to make top 6 this year. Or you're going to make me look bad.
Yeah. He wanna take the top 6.
Yeah.
100% because he worked very hard. You can see Angel training with Brandon Currie last time, and it's a person he trained very hard and he's very strict in everything.
Yeah.
So he's going to this year. He's going to try to enter in the top 6, 100%.
Is he going to bring the same condition he brought to Romania?
¿Vas a salir en la misma condición que va a salir en Rumanía? ¿Vas a salir con la misma condición?
Hombre, hay que salir mejor.
He's going to compete better.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, that was I think Romania. He looked great at the Olympia, but when he got to Romania, that condition. It was just. I was like, I think if he'd have been.
Él dice que en el Olympia saliste muy bien, pero que tu condición en Rumanía era un espectáculo. Que le gustó más tu condición en Rumanía.
Ahí apretemos más las tuercas. En Rumanía apretemos más las tuercas.
Yeah, he stayed in Romania. He turned around a little bit more.
Yeah. So
he's going to get better now in that one.
So what does he struggle to make 212, or is he quite under it? What does he weigh? What did he weigh at the Olympia and what did he weigh at Romania last year?
In what one?
What did he weigh on stage at the Olympia and at the Romania?
¿Cuánto pesaste? ¿Qué diferencia de peso tenías entre el de Rumanía y el Olympia?
1,2 kilos más.
¿En el Olympia?
No, en Rumanía.
In Romania, he has 1 kilo 200 more than in the Olympia.
Sorry, so what was he at the Olympia in pounds?
Salí más grande y más seco.
Yeah.
¿Cuántos pounds era? ¿Te acuerdas tú cuánto pesaste en el Olympia?
En Olympia en kilos 10, 94,800.
¿Y cuánto es eso en pounds, gordo? In kilos, he's 94.8.
Oh, 94. So he's under because 96 is 212.
Yes, 94.8 in the Olympia.
94.8. So he's still got a little bit more that he can put on to reach the 212 before the limit.
When he's competing,
Yeah.
so in the check-in, he has the 93.6. But then when he competes, it's 94.8.
Wow. So he's still got some room to put more size on.
Yes, a little bit. He has a special muscle on the room to put in.
Yeah. yeah.
Hostia, entonces tenías más músculos en la habitación para ponerte, porque en el pesaje no podías dar 94.800. Digo, es que tenía unos músculos especiales que se los pegó en la habitación.
En Rumanía ya seguí rozando los 96 kilos, rozándolos, no sé si de 95, 900 o por ahí. Y salir más grande y más seco, tío.
Yes,
Fue una pasada.
in Romania, is just on the top. Is 96.
Right.
It's
Okay.
on the limit.
Oh, so he was heavier. It was heavier at Romania than he was at the Olympia.
Yes.
Ah,
One,
so fuller.
1.2 more.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, okay. So, I mean, obviously in February we came over to Granada, and you trained with Brandon Currie. What was that like? Because afterwards, Angel got to strip and pose for Brandon. Everyone was there. It was really exciting. We'll put the footage into this. But what was that like training legs with Brandon Currie, and obviously Veronica, your lovely lady, the figure pro. Tell us what that was like.
¿Cómo te sentiste? ¿Qué es lo que te gustó de entrenar con Brandon ahí piernas? ¿Y te gustó o no te gustó? ¿Cómo fue eso?
Sí, me encantó. Veía que era un tío muy serio, muy centrado en las repeticiones y en las series que tiraba, que aparte me hubiera gustado haber hecho, yo qué sé, o sentadilla, lo que pasa es que hicimos femoral y estuvo bien también, o hacer algo de parte de hombro, espalda, hombro, pero fue una pasada, tío. Aparte tener a Mr Olympia al lado tuyo, eso...
He's very happy to train in that day because
Yeah.
he know Brandon Currie is very straight on the train. He's very concentrated in all the reps, and he like a lot. He say I prefer train something about the squats or something like this, or a little bit shoulder, because he train hamstrings.
Yeah.
So, but he say, but it's okay. He's very happy to train with he, and he's very happy to do it.
And also Veronica was keeping up, wasn't she, with the weight? Veronica, she was lifting the same weight as these guys, and was it she women's physique or figure?
It's figure.
She's figure. Okay, but she was really keeping up with Angel and Brandon. I was very impressed. We'll work in the footage because I've still got that footage. So that was a good day. That was because it was like 300 people there. It was the Muscular gym opening, wasn't it?
Yes, Más Muscular gym. Yes.
Is that where Angel trains, or does he train somewhere else?
¿Dónde entrenas tú, Ángel?
¿Cómo?
¿Dónde entrenas tú?
¿Dónde entreno? Aquí en Manises, en Lado Gym. El cuarto de Bolé, que diga.
No, he train in another gym because he live in another place. He don't live in Granada, so he train only this day there.
Okay. So what was it like when he got to pose for Brandon Currie, Mr. Olympia?
On the gym?
Yeah, what was it like? What was it like for him to like literally pose him? Because I know because Brandon said he was impressed. I've actually got footage of it. Like Brandon's face was impressed. He was like, "Whoa, this guy is packing some serious size."
Yes, I think all the people we stay there, we are waiting to that one. We are waiting to take out the T-shirt, the two ones, and pose a little bit.
Yeah.
But ¿tú qué piensas? ¿Te hubiera gustado posar con él allí porque se quitara la camiseta para posar con él? Porque dice que él le veía muy impresionado mirándote todo el tiempo y a lo mejor no le apetecía mucho quitársela. ¿No?
Sí. Hombre, me habría encantado haber posado con él. Yo lo veía que, vamos a ver, que no va como en el Olimpia ni mucho menos. Yo lo que te comentaba antes, mi físico siempre está ahí, ¿sabes? El año que me digas, el mes que me digas, quítate la ropa y me ves.
He say in that moment he want to take out the T-shirt with Brandon because Angel he's in shape all the year. he don't lose the shape.
So he's in condition all year round. He's in condition all year round.
Yes, always, all the year.
Wow.
So he want to take out the T-shirt with Brandon there, but Brandon is a little bit outside competition.
Yeah.
So he understand. He don't want to take out the T-shirt
Oh,
with him.
so sorry, you're saying he wanted Brandon to take his top off as well?
Yeah. No.
Brandon's like, no, I'm kind of off season.
Él piensa que no se la quería quitar. No.
Oh, fantastic. So you're saying the plans for this year, it's the, what date is the Spain Pro Show, please?
The Spain Pro Show is the 11th of October.
Is that Emilio's show?
We have a very long weekend this time because we have 4 competitions. We have the 7. We start the 7 with the check-in, and then we have the 8, 9, 10, and 11. Wow. We start the 8 with the regional one, the 9 with the European Championship one, the 10 with the Pro Show, with the Pro Qualifier, and the 11 with the Pro Show.
Wow!
So this is the first time he's going to compete in the 11 in the Pro Show there.
Wow! So obviously that's going to be a very busy few days for all of you.
Yeah, we have to work very hard for a week because we have to prepare everything 3 or 4 days ago. Yeah. Because we wait for a lot of athletes there, so we hope they are going to be a very good.
So when would Angel really start his preparation, given that he stays in good condition all year round? When would he start prepping for that first contest?
Ángel, ¿cuándo empiezas tú realmente tu preparación? Él cuando se refiere a eso, imagino que es yo sé que tú estás todo el año con tu preparación, no existe una preparación para ti, pero ¿cuándo empiezas realmente a apretar las tuercas fuerte para tu competición?
Hombre, pues siempre empezamos ya con 6-7 meses, la cosa ya empezamos muy serio. Y ya cuando quedan, yo qué sé, 4 meses o 3, la cosa ya, vamos, ahí no hay vuelta, ahí solo mirar para adelante, la dieta.
Okay. So normally he starts all the time about 7 months before the competition.
7 months.
I tell you 2 minutes ago, Angel is a man, he stay all the time in shape. Yeah. He like to stay all the time in shape. He don't want to lose the shape because it's very difficult from him because he's on the top. He's just on the limit of the weight.
Right.
So he can't, he has to stay all the time in shape to don't lose the weight. But he started 7 months ago. He started very hard, and very seriously. But then when he's 3 months ago, so then don't stop. This killer time. So 3 months ago, he started the killer time.
Yeah.
You know?
So has he managed to train okay during the pandemic?
¿Has podido entrenar bien durante la pandemia?
Sí, gracias a Dios, sí. Gracias a Dios tenía buen material en casa y luego aparte me escapaba unos días al gimnasio de mi amigo.
Yes, he can train perfectly because he has good material in his house. Okay. And he has a friend. He has a very good friend with the gym, and his friend all the time enter inside with the doors closed. Yeah. And it's a little bit illegal. You don't have to put that one on the interview, but he do it. Okay.
Well, he's got the keys. It's fine. I know a lot of people have secret access, so we're not going to make a big deal out of it. So, at the end of the day, this is the best bodybuilder in Spain. Am I correct?
Es el mejor bodybuilder en España ahora mismo, Ángel. ¿Es correcto eso?
¿Cómo?
Actualmente eres el mejor bodybuilder que tenemos en España. ¿Eso es correcto?
Sí.
Is that correct? See?
It's correct.
Yeah. So, okay, let's push this. Sorry?
El que tenga alguna duda que vaya al campeonato de octubre aquí a Alicante.
He say if any Spanish have any doubt, he can go to the Spanish Pro, the 11, and try to get up on the stage and compete with him.
Okay. So what about would you say Angel is now the best 212 in Europe?
Pensamos que pueda ser el mejor 212 en Europa, Ángel.
Emilio's nodding.
Ahora mismo.
Hombre, hay muchos atletas muy buenos, pero de momento no sé, yo creo que sí.
Can I respond myself?
Yes.
Without the response from Angel?
Yes, you can.
I I want to tell you something.
Okay.
It's easy. Any other competitor in Europe in 212 do the same one like Angel do till the moment, and any other one win Angel till the moment. So
yeah,
it's 100% he's the best one in Europe now in this moment. It's on the top 10.
Yeah.
He never lose with another one. And if I have, I'm a pro judge.
Yes.
And I judge a lot of competition, and is one of the men's. I'm very impressive when I see the first time in the competing in pro, and he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So I see Angel a lot of time competing, but I never see competing in pro. And the first time I see Angel with the rest of the people in pro, this is the time when I know exactly he's the best one in Europe.
I would think the three best we have in Europe is Nicolas Vulio from Switzerland.
Yes.
Angel, and obviously, can we class Kamalo Gagni? He's European. Can you class European? Yeah, yeah, sort of. He lives in England.
Leave that one. It's on the way. The European. It's on the way.
Okay. So the goal for this year is win the Spanish Pro in October, retain the Romania Pro win that for a second year, and top 6 at the Olympia. That is the goal for 2020.
This is the goal 2020, and I'm going to make a prediction.
Come on.
Now, I think Angel is going to finish in the top 3 in the 212.
Top 3? Oh, there's some good names at the top 3, Mines. He could do it.
I hope.
I'm basing that upon the Romania Pro look. I'm thinking top 3.
So I think you have to say something. You are making the interview, but you have to try to say something. What do you think about this?
I think top 5.
Top
I think top 5. I think top 5. I think top 5. I think he can definitely. I think he would. I think maybe 6th, 7th last year, and I think if he's improved and obviously the physique, because I mean he looked so much better at Romania than he did. He looked great. I mean, look at this picture here. That was at the Olympia. He looked fantastic at the Olympia, but Romania was just like. I mean, that front lat spread in the progress picture he posted, it just completely blew my mind. And he brought that. Sometimes they look great in pictures off stage, and then they get on stage and they don't look as good. Angel did. He did look as good. He looked maybe more impressive. I mean, the condition was incredible. People call that European conditioning, you know?
Yes. I don't see Angel in the last month. I don't know how is the condition of Angel now.
Yeah.
But I know he's better than last year because some bird tell me something.
Fantastic.
Le digo a Ángel que no te he visto últimamente tu condición, pero que un pajarito me ha contado que va bastante mejor que el año anterior. Entonces tengo que confiar.
Sí.
You can see.
Cada año intentamos salir mejor.
I believe in Angel.
I do too. That's why I had him on. That's why I've put him in my column. You know, it's out there forever now. So yeah, I wanted to get you guys on. And also thank you to all of you for the hospitality you showed us and Brandon Currie. In February, we went to Spain and Portugal, courtesy of Emilio and Jael Ferreira, and yourself, and we all had food afterwards. We felt that was a real, we felt very welcome. We felt very well looked after. Brandon said he wants to come back. So, I want to thank you guys. Now, we say that officially on camera. I want to say thank you for that. Brandon, absolutely, we had an amazing time. We had guys filming inside the gym that had drones flying inside the gym, didn't we? Drones. It was a fantastic. It was fantastic. It was so good. It was So I wanted to get Angel on because I really, really do believe he's got what it takes to really do move up this year. So I wish him all the best, and I think there's going to be more to come this year. So keep an eye on this guy at the Olympia and Romania, and obviously the Spanish Pro, because he is moving up.
Okay. Nada, nos da las gracias por la hospitalidad que tuvimos todos en Granada, por lo bien que Brandon se lo pasó, que quiere volver, y él personalmente nos agradece que hayamos estado en la entrevista y que te desea mucha suerte en la andada por el Olympia este año.
Muchas gracias. Y nada, de estar ahí, entrevistarme y de que me vea todo el mundo y de esos apoyos que me dan. Y este año intentaremos hacerlo mejor, mucho mejor. Verás.
So, thanks a lot for making the interview, to stay all the time looking around how started with his competition life, everything, and he's going to try to get better this year for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, and congratulations on getting the Yamamoto. So, how long has that been going for?
¿Cuánto tiempo llevas con Yamamoto?
Pues nada, antes de que empezara la cuarentena, pues 4 meses.
4 months, a little bit before start with the pandemic.
Oh, good. Oh, well, that's great that you've got a good sponsor. Really, that will really help try and move things up this year. So, to Javi, Angel Calderon, and Emila Martinez, thank you so much for coming on, and looking forward to, well, I might be out in Spain in October. I might come out. I might get the flight out. I might come and join you guys, but I will definitely see you at the Olympia December 17th to the 20th. So looking for that first call out. Angel Calderon, saying it here now.
So thanks a lot, man.
Okay, then. Thank you, guys. Thank you.